I want to talk to you about the cookie apocalypse that's impending upon us. And I want to get a little bit of a take on Meta Router's alternative approach to compliance and consent. And
Yeah,
how do you guys support cookieless tracking and what marketers should be thinking about in this new apocalyptic age?
totally. Yeah, the apocalypse, cookie crumbling. It's, crazy. I saw a meme the other day. It was like cookies enhance performance. And I'm like, yes, this is absolutely true. I do have a sweet tooth, but just like cookies aren't good for your health. They're not really necessarily good for tracking either. I love a good analogy. So I try and relate back things that are tricky or, detailed, something like anything within tech and relating that to some kind of analogy or theme that people understand, right? So like you I mean, I'm so glad you've had good experiences with product marketers. I mean, we know they're being deprecated because of privacy regulations, and I do like hugely important. We need to make sure that, consumers trust companies with their data and that companies are using it effectively, right? So, hugely important. I think the thing to note here is like when you think about third party cookie deprecation, what to kind of do, two things. One, I like to tell everyone, like, "Don't wait." Like, yes, it's coming. It feels like it's been coming forever, but, like, you don't wanna wait until it's a problem to do something about it. Like, the
Yeah.
floodgates are going to open, and you don't wanna be the one at the, bottom of the dam, like, "Oh, no." And I say that because the way MetaRouter kind of attacks this is we are a first party infrastructure platform. And when I say first party, I want to be clear there's like first party data collection. So you're asking people for their personal information, you use that for targeting, right? That's one thing. It can be really hard. You still have to deal with PII, all those things, right? When you build a platform and you have a platform within a first party infrastructure that goes to first party endpoints, um, you're really collecting more information that's like behavioral data interactions, events on your website, so you're collecting more and better data, but you're doing so in a way that like strengthens your resilience against browser, ad blockers, things like that. I kind of like to say like, don't let browsers boss you around because it's a real thing. Um, and so the way that we collect it is getting you more and better data that you can feed into all your systems. So your CDPs, your analytics, your data warehouses, wherever you might send it, because it's within that first party endpoint. Which is really exciting because like again, being a tech nerd at heart, you don't realize what your data can do until you realize like what good data, like the impact good data makes. Like we hear all the time, maybe bad or like not full sets of data going into a CDP, for example, like maybe anonymous user data. You can't identify those users. That's not going into your CDP. And you're like, oh, my CDP is, doing all these great things. Yeah, but you're missing half your data because you're not tracking anonymous users, right? Like the struggle is real. So we like to say we're like a CDP's best friend or like that kind of collection method to make sure that again, everywhere that customer data is good data. And like, holy cow, you talked about privacy and proactive consent and all those things. So we just had a webinar actually with OneTrust yesterday. Awesome. The people there are fantastic. They are so good at consent management. So like, are you going to accept these cookies? Do you want to receive, things for analytics versus ads, right? There's so much that goes into consent management. But if you're not enforcing that consent as soon as the data is collected, that's a problem, right? Because then what happens is you're collecting data, you're not sure that those consent preferences are actually being enforced. So then your data goes downstream and you're like, oh crap, I've just identified a compliance risk. Like there's a problem. By the time you identify it, like it is a problem. You are in triage, like you could be potentially fined, all these things. And what we're seeing, which is back to like, don't let browsers boss you around. There are lists and lists of third party data breaches. So, sites going down due to third parties, data breaches due to third parties, like third parties causing so much pain and so many problems that our goal is to give companies control back of their customer data and eliminate that reliance on third parties, which is really a fun challenge to take on. So